In 1986, Nintendo developed and released Metroid for the Nintendo console. The game introduced the character of Samus Aran, who was originally a bounty hunter sent to the planet SR-388 to stop space pirates and the main foe of the game, which was that of Mother Brain. Metroid 2, released in 1991 for the Nintendo Game Boy, continued the story of Samus, and into Super Metroid, released in 1994 for the Super Nintendo, which was considered the most influential game to depict Samus Aran in the original era of Metroid. These three games established the backstory for Samus, that she was a specifically trained and to a certain extent heartless or ruthless bounty hunter or mercenary. However, with Metroid Prime released in 2002 for the Nintendo GameCube, the Metroid franchise was redone for a new generation, and the games from then onwards to the current era of video games have had a slightly different and more humble or friendly version of Samus presented. At the time, Samus wore complex body armor, and the assumptions were that with her abilities and talents, partially it had it that originally she was an average woman who was at the peak potential of human endurance due to strength enhancements because of her suit, and that she wore basic garments beneath it for the era that she lived in. In Metroid Zero Mission, released in 2004 for the Game Boy, first introduced the Zero suit. This was a remake of the original 1986 game, and somewhat brought a modernized view of Samus as well as the character beneath the suit, literally. The remake had Samus stripped of her suit, and with the so-called Zero suit, and in order to re-escape the planet on through events, she obtained an even more powerful outer suit than she had previously worn. In the original on Super Metroid, Samus wore the outer suit the entire time, before obtaining the optional power suit upgrades. Throughout the future games of the Metroid series, Samus had worn the outer suit as well as the Zero suit for a variety of circumstances and situations throughout the games. While in her Zero suit she can naturally take more damage, but is considered to be far more agile. Due to not wearing the outer power suit, she can't morph into a ball but navigate small crevices and areas or even paths on her hands or knees. It's not exactly known what the Zero suit is made out of, but it's been theorized to be some sort of polymorphic fiber that can stretch and contract with Samus's movements. It's also not exactly known how Samus puts on or takes off the suit, as it appears to be of a skin-tight nature and doesn't have any zippers, buttons, belts, or seams that display where the suit can be removed or put on at. The theory is that the suit can be deformed or reformed at will by Samus in a way similar to that of the power suit. The focus of the discussion is that gamers' reactions to Samus' Zero suit have been mixed. Some have mentioned that the allure and mystery of Samus' suit, as depicted in the original games, were one of the main reasons why the Metroid franchise was so universally applauded and respected. The character of Samus wasn't really seen or known. Players could have their own impressions of her as a character, due in part to the features of her suit. The Zero suit somewhat sexualized the character according to some arguments, and it took away from the strengths that Samus had. Online discussions for theories have even had it that the Zero suit was essentially her underwear or underlayer due to it being of a skin-tight nature, and originally she used the Zero suit as a last resort until obtaining a new power suit. Theories have come across discussing the fact that originally Metroid was in fact a very dark gaming series or franchise, and the woman or person beneath the suit wasn't supposed to be known. The Zero suit somewhat makes Metroid or Samus something more of a friendly or more light-hearted visual appearance for the character or Metroid franchise in modern gaming. The Zero suit represents the change from Samus Aran, which was a 1980s themed female heroine, to a 2000s childish character, for which fans remember the original depiction of Samus have mostly mentioned that the Zero suit takes away from the character in terms of depth, image, and portrayal. It doesn't help the situation with Samus or Metroid, as the argument and theories go further to the extent that modern gamers have only really known Samus Aran as a character due to the Smash Brothers games. And due to the gaming demographic which Nintendo now targets with its games, as most have only known her to wear the Zero Suit. Metroid games have been made after Super Metroid have not been universally responded to well in terms of quality, story, or portrayals of Samus. And the divisions of the character portrayals of Samus Aran have been divided between the gamers who prefer the original, darker version of the character and those who prefer the modern version of the character with the Zero Suit. A final aspect of discussion is that in the original games, Samus had an underlayer which was essentially that of a bikini, and older gamers at the time pointed out that detail, but there wasn't much debate or dislike over it. Discussions have highlighted that the Japanization of Samus from an originally Western-themed heroine from the 1980s to a Japanimation-based heroine of the early to mid-2000s is what gamers are disappointed or even angry with. A character can be overrated yet hated because one generation of gamers relates to a character a certain way, and another generation of gamers react to the same character another way.